There you go. Sorry. It's okay.
Yeah. Where we find beauty, how we recognize beauty. Do we take the time to recognize beauty? So we start with the definition, as always. Beauty, an inner spiritual quality rooted in character, holiness, and a gentle and quiet spirit, rather than outward appearance. And so to be clear, we're not talking about what is beautiful. Beautiful is someone or something that possesses qualities giving great pleasure, satisfaction, or admiration to the senses, sight, sound, or the mind. So we might say, that person is beautiful. But do we recognize beauty as a spiritual quality within them? That's the difference we're talking about. Beauty as a spiritual quality. Beauty is a pathway to the divine. Now, I say a pathway to the divine, I could say, to use more words, a pathway that allows you to remember the presence of the divine. Right? Ernest Holmes has a quote on beauty. It's from his book, Richer Living. It's a little long, but I think that it is worthwhile, and it's Ernest Holmes, so what are you gonna do? I believe it was Plato who said that God is love, truth, and beauty. It has always seemed wonderful to me that one of the world's greatest thinkers should have included beauty as a necessary part of the divine nature. How evident this beauty is everywhere we look. How wonderful is the landscape, the sunset, or the color of the desert at dawn. How beautiful is the daffodil in its sweet simplicity, and what majestic beauty and strength in the mountain and in the wave. I lost my place. Beauty is harmony and right proportion. It is symmetry and charm and grace and loveliness. Surely we should identify ourselves with this terrific beauty that pours its warmth and color over everything, and seems to be at the very root of our being. So again, that's what we're talking about. Beauty at the very root of our being. That it is imbued within us. There is nothing that we have to accomplish. There's no outfit that we have to wear. There's no way that we have to wear our hair. But we have to choose to allow our beauty to shine. Mm-hmm. We have to allow our beauty to be discovered. How many of you, I know I have kind of covered up that beauty? I don't want to call attention. I don't want people to notice. The sense of smell is so powerful. We smell a rose, for example, Or we smell perfume as we walk into a room. And it takes us on a little trip of remembrance. I would say that is beautiful. It reminds me of a memory, of a situation. It's so powerful. It can take me right back. Have you ever walked in a room and smelled your mother's perfume? Whether she's on this plane or on another. But resonating with beauty, it triggers that remembrance of who we are and how we're connected to the divine. So how do we do that? How do we move along this pathway to explore beauty? What if we looked at a flower? Really looked at it. You can bring one in your mind, or you can use one of these. I don't know where to stand so that I'm not in your way. So you look. We use our eyes to really look beyond the color, beyond the shape, setting aside the fragrance. My mom's gonna pick me up. I hope she gets here soon. We look at the intrinsic nature of the flower. We look at the intrinsic beauty of the flower. There's a line of a song that I was gonna play today that says, when does a bud decide it's a rose? That divine intelligence. How do the landscapers at our house chop everything down to the ground in the winter? Looks dead. Just laying there, storing its energy. Very much alive. And it knows, because that divine intelligence, when to sprout. And it knows, because of the divine intelligence, when to bloom. And so I bring up those stages because when it's chopped down to the ground, I could stand there and go, I don't really see the beauty in that. It looks pretty sparse. And yet the beauty is there. The beauty is there whether I take the time or hold the belief to see it. The beauty is there. We be with the beauty. What does that mean? We feel it. Maybe it's gazing from the porch, or as you walk, or as you plop in the middle of the garden or the grass. I can see Sharon doing that. And you touch. Maybe it's feet on the earth, feeling that groundedness, holding the softness of sea glass. The petal of a rose. We explore it. And there is a sense that begins to be palpable. A feeling, a knowing, because we've revealed the divine nature. So what is that divine nature? It's the truth. It's just the truth. Truth with the capital T. Never is it false. This rose never shows up and says, I'm going to be a carnation today. It doesn't. It knows who it is. It knows who to be. The feeling, that feeling you feel when you experience beauty, is the divine. is that sense of exchanging, of the word resonating comes up for some reason, I don't know. It's a very active sort of feeling. You can feel it kind of maybe rise up in you as you gaze at the beauty that's right before you. You've walked past that same flower, that same mountain, that same tree, day in and day out, and one day you paused, you noticed, you feel what has always been present. We're connecting with Spirit, the divine nature, God. Many words, and as you know, we use those pretty interchangeably, on purpose. Some of us comes from some backgrounds where the word God is a bit triggering. Now, because I am who I am, I like to use it because I think the only way you kind of get over a trigger is to find a new definition for that. But, you know. But we're noticing, which is always there. We aren't creating beauty. We might create something that's beautiful, maybe some art. So using beauty as a pathway to the divine is a spiritual practice, right? That's a word you hear, a phrase you hear a lot here. Spiritual practice, whatever that is. Maybe it's listening to music that brings up that feeling of beauty. Maybe it's the reading of some words that touch you in a way that reveals the divine. Maybe it's gazing at nature, looking at the vast awness of the rolling waves. They've been doing that same motion long before we were here, and they'll be doing it long after. It's the divine in action. Who knows, maybe we'll be a part of that wave one day. I guess some of us are part of the wave today. But like any practice, we have to repeat it over and over. We have to intentionally notice. I've walked by these flowers multiple times today. Never really looked, never really noticed. The beauty within them looks like they're yellow flowers, right? But within, there are these tiny little specks of brown. Each leaf is somewhat uniform in shape, and yet the coloring is unique to that leaf. Simply by noticing, I'm calling forward that experience of the divine that nourishes me, that guides me, that feeds me. Now, I'll be really honest, because that's kind of one of the things I do with you. Finding the beauty has been challenging, and it has been lower on my list. I've had things I needed to do. Work's got to be done. Dog's got to be taken out and then brought back in. Right? And there's always something else. And so the awareness, the time, the spiritual practice of beauty kind of gets set aside. The beauty in that spiritual practice is that because practice has been done, it's never starting over again. It's never starting over again. All of the beauty's still there, just waiting for me to notice, to click in, pause, take a breath, and be. Just be. Doesn't care who you are, what you've done, where you've been, how you pronounce your name. It's just there waiting to be used, waiting to be recognized. So I have a question. Where have you, very short, where have you been discovering beauty recently? Where have you witnessed beauty to the point where you feel it? Sharon.
The other day we went out for a walk over at Delta Pond, and I take my camera and I'm snapping photos and everything of turtles on logs and the ducks and stuff. I get home and I download it, and I had a gift of pure delight when I saw this one picture of the turtle on the log. It turned out it wasn't a turtle with its babies. It was a turtle with a duck and its babies on the log. And my grandson said, "That's a picture of a turtle that is a nanny to those ducks." And it was just, I was so amazed that that came up. I was blown away.
Yeah. And what I find so remarkable, you could have done something else that day and missed it altogether. And you were there and still didn't really pick up on what was happening until you really paused and had the opportunity to look again. And there it is, beauty. Thank you. Anyone else? Yeah.
When I was hiking there a couple weeks ago, when I was camping, I was up at Stelton Point, I guess I think it is, and it had been they had suffered a fire, but there was still beauty in all that fire scorched earth with all the renewal of everything coming back, and the wild azaleas and rhododendrons and all of the little mushrooms that were growing to help nature along on its course. So, and then you get to the top and there's just Mount Jefferson off in the distance. It was just gorgeous. So yeah.
All of that beauty that's there in the presence
Despite the
of
devastation.
destruction.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a powerful reminder today. Yeah.
I've never seen a solid red hummingbird.
Can you speak up just a bit?
Oh, sorry. I've never seen a solid red hummingbird, and we've had a lot of road construction, but this bird came right up to my fuchsia and it was red too, so it's like, whoa, this is amazing. So I get a lot of green ones and mixed ones, but never a solid red one, so it was fascinating.
Yeah. Beauty. Ken?
You might have to help me. Yesterday, I noticed I had a message on my phone. And I started to listen to it, and I realized it was a student that I'd had. I retired in May of 10, and I taught 6th grade. And I started to hear what he was saying, and I just couldn't. And last night, I played it, and for almost 3 minutes, he talked about the influence that I had had on him and how much he appreciated that. And I just felt so incredibly blessed that he had taken the time to do that. And it was just one of the most beautiful things that have happened to me in a long time.
Yeah, that was beauty. And if I may, what made it, I don't know, particularly touching for me is that he brought up those times that Ken had gotten after him and said, thank you. I needed to be called on that. That's caused me to be more compassionate. Yeah. And so maybe it's been a while since you've connected with beauty. And so I created this assignment, if you will, as much for me as it is for you. So I offer it up, and I think that if you take me up on it, you will reap the benefits. Just spend 5 minutes a day. 5 minutes. Looking, touching, being with beauty. And as you do, notice what feeling rises up. I think that's the key. That's us vibing with God. I mean, come on, who doesn't want to vibe with God? It's the recognition of the Spirit in you, in the beauty, and everywhere, always. There's a quote by Rumi. The beauty you see in me is a reflection of you. Remember that when you experience beauty. It is the beauty in you recognizing the beauty in another, in a flower, in a tree, of anything else. You're recognizing the beauty in you, and you're vibing with God. And so it is. I have another song by Gypsy Soul. Interestingly enough, we know them from Phoenix.